Hello Warlords, JP here from Caffeinated Warlord, bringing you another Kings of War battle report. A battle between my Undead and some Nightstalkers. A power game for the ages, so watch on. So this is round one from the tournament 𝖓𝖎𝖕, which was held in May in Ringwood, Victoria, at a lovely stall called Games Portal, so very good if you're ever in the area. Now, it was 2150 points because this is the halfway point between 2300 and the 2000, which we always debate which one should we do. So why not go somewhere in between and have a bit of the compromise, but also a bit of the toys. Now, this is mirroring the upcoming two-day event in Victoria known as Convic, which is held in Springvale, which is a big deal, definitely for Melbourne. And so this is a way we can kind of prepare. I wanted to prepare for this by bringing along my Undead, because I actually just acquired some Undead at the end of last year, middle of last year. Anyway, I got some Undead. They're all singularly based, pretty dusty, banged up, but all Mantic, so that's pretty good. And I wanted to get this all multi-base together. So between the last tournament in March and now, I managed to multi-base pretty much nearly everything, just not the Revenant Cavalry, unfortunately, but nearly everything, and I'm very proud of it. And I had to touch up a lot. I had to make sure everything looked quite nice and, get some of the color scheme cohesive, make some colors pop. But in the end, I think I'm onto something. So you'll see that across this game, of course. So for my list, I have a bit of everything. I have 3 regiments of zombies. I have 1 regiment of skeleton spearmen. I have 1 troop of wraiths, 2 troops of Revenant Cavalry, 1 horde of wights, 1 regiment of 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry with Sir Jesse's boots of striding, 1 horde of werewolves with helm of the drunken ram, 1 revenant king on undead horse with surge 5, 1 necromancer with inspiring talisman, heal 3 and bane chant 2, 1 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍𝖙 with trickster's wand, giving him obviously hex 2, and finally a vampire on undead dragon with lightning bolt 4 and staying stone. The last one was definitely more of an inclusion because I didn't have 𝖓𝖎𝖕 infantry to put in, because that's really what I wanted. So I had to compromise and turn it all into a dragon, because it's much easier to get that ready rather than all the little infantry. So that's my list. I reckon I mean, you can probably throw anything at a board and get a good undead list out of it, unless you accidentally somehow just get all ghouls. But I think this is pretty good. Now, that said, I'm going against Nightstalkers in my first round, so that's definitely going to test it quite in a difficult way. So let's look at that Nightstalker list. So it is starting off hard. We have 3 regiments of Reapers. Each of them has the Scream Shout upgrade, and then each in turn has either the Brew of Sharpness, the Brew of Strength, or Sir Jesse's Boots of Striding. So that's Reapers. For large cavalry, we have a horde of fiends with Blessing of the Gods. So they now have elite and vicious. Terrifying. Now, for something I never see in Nightstalker lists, we have terrors. 2 of them, 2 terrors, which are pretty much slightly nastier krakens. Then we have the Void Lurker, upgraded with the Diadem of Dragonkind, so he can have Fireball, turning him into a real kind of dragon, essentially. That's what I assume the intent was there. And then finally, also something you don't see much, there was the Shadowhounds formation, which is 3 troops of Shadowhounds. They gain Slayer D6, so it's not just for nothing. But then each of them was upgraded either with the Scrying Gem, the Blood of the Old King, or the Pipes of Terror. So definitely a list that has what I would think is too many points into upgrades. Definitely some of those can be stripped down. But the way he said, he always likes to put in more stuff. And I remember in my old Warhammer Fantasy days, I also like to kit out things with all kinds of items. The temptation of a drop-down menu is just too much. So I get it. So yeah, we'll see. It's a very low drop list, just 10 units, 18 unit strength. But I do have to be wary of it because a lot of the units can hit really hard. Those Reapers and Fiends, you just can't just give them any opportunities. So that's kind of what I'm thinking going into this Nightstalker list when I'm looking at it. But I know I outnumber it, so maybe I can surround it. So what's the scenario? Well, it's Invade. So automatically I have a bit of an advantage. Invade is simply get across the line and you win. And so I just know that I need to get the majority of my army across the line and survive. I mean, isn't that the way that everyone plays Invade? I make it sound like I'm saying something smart. But in this particular instance, if I just don't die, just get there and don't die, I win because I already have more unit strength. So it's more how much can I keep alive, and if I kill his, it tips it further in my favor. So let's go into the terrain, and then I'll introduce the armies. So we have a nice big forest right here. Another big forest here, like huge forests, right? When the trees go away, they look a lot like hills, but remember, these are both forests. We have blocking terrain right here, big slender building, and then a small squat building over here on the right. So left and right flanks both have blocking terrain. Coming off this rightmost blocking terrain, this building is one of the first obstacles, and the other obstacle is jutting out of the hill that's right here in the middle. And it's just one big hill for this map. Then for flat terrain, you can see it's right here underneath my zombies there. And I don't think there's another flat terrain around. No, I don't see it. So that's just one big flat terrain there. So that is the layout for this map. But I mean, these forests are so big, you don't really need much more. So it all works out fine. So I was on the bottom, he was on the top. And I'll go through my army right to left. So we can see I've got on the rightmost flank, I have some zombies, and then this is the skeleton spearman here, because as he was putting down his units, I could see that the cavalry, the shadow hounds, I would have also liked to put in front of the fiend, but ultimately I wanted the spearman opposite some kind of cavalry just so I can get that phalanx off, and also their unit strength 3, which is pretty cool. So if they survive, very good. So this side, I'm definitely weighting more my army to the right flank, so that they can just push through what he's got there and just survive and stick around. Behind them, I have one of the Revenant cavalry troops. These are normally acting as my screen, right? Like they're my chaff. But there's actually not much in this army that's much faster. Like obviously we've got the Shadowhounds, but when these guys are normally in front of, say, my werewolves. But the werewolves are just as fast or faster than most of the stuff here. So yeah, they're only going to slow down the werewolves, really. So the werewolves are running free, and I just have the Revenant cavalry over here in the back just to maybe charge off and hit something if they can. Then the Revenant King is right here next to them. Then I have my horde of wights here. So wherever you see this spooky little house going, that's the horde of wights. That's all wights around it, so you'll hopefully see that. And in front of those, a troop of wraiths, a perfect combo, troop of wraiths, horde of wights. Then we have the other Revenant cavalry troop in front of my 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry. And then sitting in the terrain, because they really don't care where they are, 2 regiments of zombies. And then on the leftmost flank, I have the horde of werewolves, which has a cave that I made for it. I'm pretty proud of that. I'll actually have a video about that. Then I have my dragon, so my vampire and undead dragon, and the 𝖭𝖕𝖌𝖍𝖙, who's just there. You can't quite see him. So I got my fast left flank, although it's more of a middle, and then I've just got my lumbering core, which actually has some fast elements to it. And oh yeah, there's the necromancer. So you can see I've dotted my inspiring sources along the lines to make sure everything's nice and inspired, but also that the things that need the support where they are. So like, usually I'm healing the wights of the 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry from early damage, and usually I need to surge the wights because that's the main thing you ever want to surge, really. So that's my deployment. Now, looking over him, he's got a lot of Middle-earth miniatures, so I will translate what they are to Nightstalker terms. So the easy thing is that the 3 wargs are the 3 troops of Shadowhounds. So right there, bang, bang, bang. I can't remember for the life of me which one had which upgrade, and I don't think it really matters because upgrading Shadowhounds I don't think is worth it because they're just... Yeah, they're more of a kind of a fast cavalry, borderline chaff kind of unit. They're not really the hammer that... But anyway, he's upgraded them, and I can't quite remember which one is which. Then the medium-sized spiders on the regiment bases, those are the Reapers. So we've got 1 Reaper, 2 Reaper, and then the 3rd Reaper unit is here in the forest. That's probably the one with the boots of striding, I imagine. Then we have 1 Terror, which is one of the giant spiders. There's the horde of fiends there on that big base, and then we have the Void Lurker over here, which is I think that's the Terror from the Pit or something. Anyway, a Pit Fiend. That's from Middle Earth. That's the Pit Fiend over there. And the other Terror is over here behind the house. So he's spread out quite far, and yeah, I assume he's hoping to get flanking. He's got all his fast elements on the left, and he's got, obviously the Shadowhounds are also fast, but with my wall of undead meat, I don't think it's really going to punch through all that much. because I'm not offering anything that's Slayer, and so they're just going to have to go in with their basic attacks. So we'll see how all that goes, but there's the layout. Hopefully that's all very clear. And yeah, I'll just try and always say what the units are, just so none of us get confused. And here's an action shot. I only did one, just to show the zombies. I mean, I gotta say, the Mantic zombie kit is quite amazing. Considering the age of the kit, it looks like zombies, and they're posed in just the ways that you would expect a shambling horde of the undead to look. So many props to Mantic for having made such a good kit so long ago, and that it just still is so solid. Like, I was painting these and I'm like, these are great, I don't mind. Like, yeah, they're just a fantastic kit. I have some Games Workshop zombies as well that I eventually will make a few more regiments out of, and I'm actually not looking forward to it because they look so chunky. Like, their hands are the size of their heads. Like, they've got these big pancake hands that they're just waving about. And I get it, you know, when you die, sometimes things can swell up and all that, but it's generally not your hands. So, no, not looking forward to that, but definitely like the Mantic one. So, let's get into a battle. Turn 1. I got it. But my turn 1 is really just, you know, making a claim for the center. So I just move everything up as far as I can. In some cases that's very far, and in the case of zombies it's not very far at all. But things move, and I'm slowly approaching the middle. Not quite, so I think it's a little bit ways off, but I'm getting there. And I'm not trying to get anything in charge range of anything, so I'm just hoping he'll move forward and I can get something there. What a statement that was, get anything in charge range of anything. So I'm just checking my threat, you know, just checking it out. The werewolves, I think, are already threatening some things, so he's already going to have to make some decisions about that because, you know, they're speed 9. But otherwise, pretty simple. I have a lightning bolt on my dragon because I was like, oh, I can make him into a mini kind of manifestation of Baal, but it's mostly useless. So, but it does give me something to do. So I'm just like, oh, okay. There's nothing to hex. There's nothing. So simple turn. So we go straight to his turn. He moves up. Everything's coming in. He's kind of sweeping in with his fast flank here. So we've got the Horde of Fiends, we've got the Terror, and we've got the Void Lurker. The Void Lurker's just kind of come around and just ready to lurk. And then we have those Reaper Regiment coming through that forest. There it is. And the other Reaper. This Reaper's coming up, and this one's kind of just trying to be behind all the Shadowhounds because it doesn't want to get charged. Fair enough. Reapers do not like getting charged. So we have Shadowhounds just sitting here. What is interesting is the Terror's just kind of zoomed up the flank here, and so I don't want it going into flanks because I think that's exactly, it's a melee 310 attack, so it's, yeah, it definitely hits harder than a Kraken, so I want to stop it. And so I will be throwing some zombies in it in turn 2. And there you go. Zombies going into the into the Terror. Probably, I mean, yeah, he's got to feed it something, right? Otherwise, it's gonna have its choice of what to charge, and I'd rather it didn't have a choice and it would just fight zombies because zombies are very, very cheap. So that's what's going in there first. Everything else has just moved up, with the exception of my fast flank. And this is the first of 3 games in which I just can't not hold back my werewolves, because I don't know why I'm surprised, but when I get that early turn 2 charge, I'm like, oh wow, that's in range. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if I just went there and killed it? So, you know, this is always my thought process. It's just like, wow, what if I do that? So in this case, the first game, and I was just, you know, I was all hopped up on undead juice, and I'm like, let's go, I can do it. So off go the werewolf and the 𝖭𝖏𝖏𝑖𝑐, he's over there too. And, you know, they're both actually hindered because of the way that the charge goes across that forest there. You know, they can't not be hindered. And so it's not great, but, you know, yeah, crushing 1, hitting on 4s, you know, they should be able to do something to Reapers, right? So that's the idea. I've charged off there to try and punch through because nothing over here can threaten, so nothing on his left flank. So if they can kill them, they can just turn in and face everything else. And, you know, I've got the dragon here because I just wanted to get in there and threaten some things along flanks. My whole idea is to demolish this side of the Nightstalker army, and then just delay with this side, which doesn't have that much unit strength. So if I can demolish this, get most of my army over here to live happily ever after, unlive, then that's the plan. And so there's the combat, nice pictures, even nicer pictures, zooming in on my basing, look at the cave, pretty proud, and we get into, it's into his turn, whoopsies. So yeah, what are we showing here? Jeez, when dice have all this kind of weird stuff. I think that means 9 damage, but I think they were fine. I rolled very under. I mean, even 9 damage is not much against Reapers, so not very good. So I think we bounced there, because now in his turn, here we go, things have moved. We have one of the Reapers going to zombies, which they are, I think that says they're hindered, so maybe they didn't have Jesse's boots. Anyway, there's the hindered token. The other faster elements, the Fiends and the Void Lurker, are kind of readjusting, reevaluating their purpose in this game and getting better angles, and the Terror's just moving through the forest there. Over here, well, yeah, I bounced, and so the consequences of which I get flanked by the one thing that really shouldn't be flanking me. It's the Shadowhounds. They've got the Slayer, so now they're going to be really good. It's just, yeah, silly me. I shouldn't have taken this first opportunity, but spoiler alert, this is a running joke throughout all the games. It's going to be that I will be just always too eager to throw these werewolves into combat when I really should be holding back. But here they are in combat in turn 2. Wonderful. And yeah, well, this is going on. I didn't even do damage to it, but you know, at least it's held up. Turn 3. Well, I managed to go into... before we show that, they died. Spoiler, but they did, because in turn 3 we won't see them. So I obviously did not take a picture of that, but here in turn 3 for me, these Reapers kind of really bounced. Like, being hindered turned out to be a big problem for them. They only did, here you can see, 4 damage, so that allowed me to get in a flank charge with zombies and a front charge with zombies, which still doesn't really guarantee anything whatsoever. That is a hindered flank charge, so we're talking 6s and 4s is not... even with the 24 attacks, is definitely not going to be something that's going to kill them, but, you know, I'm getting in there, and I don't mind turning my butt with zombies to other things. Like, go ahead, go roll lots of dice trying to kill zombies. But over here, I've moved all my nimble stuff out of charge arcs, because I don't want them to get charged, but also I like that they're there to threaten everything else. So they're kind of, I mean, is this what I wanted? Not really. I didn't want to just get through and then not kill anything, but I've moved there, and the cool thing is, I am now going to use my breath attack with my undead dragon. So he's not really a breath attack, he has icy breath, and that's what I've repositioned here for. And just showing here the perspective that the Terror definitely cannot see them, I made sure, because I did not want to get butt charged by a Terror. But the most important charges are going on here. So we have both the Shadowhounds going one into the cavalry here, and one into the race here. At some point, the Revenant Cavalry ran off in an early charge, also in some kind of stupidity, but it doesn't really matter because I think they can take it, these Soul Reaver Cavalry. So the Soul Reaver Cavalry taking a charge, and the Wraiths here also taking a charge, and you can see that resulted in 1 damage for him. And then in my turn, I have then come in with a flank charge with my skeletons, because they can. So this is a counter charge here, counter charge with Wraiths, and a flank charge with the skeletons. Over here, while the zombies are slowly chipping away, and what I'm hoping to do is eventually get these Revenant Cavalry into a flank. So I'm positioning them here to eventually do like a smart charge where these guys will shuffle over, but it might still not be enough. It's a very awkward spot, I mean a good spot, to put a Terror, because I can't really get more than 1 unit into them. So yeah, just kind of feeding the Terror as much as I can. Over here, well, yeah, guess what? The Icy Breath did do it. So something about the sequence of events here is throwing me off, but we have managed to kill with Icy Breath, which is pretty fantastic. Then over here we have some damage put onto the Reapers, but yeah, like I said, you know, when you hit hindered zombies, even in flanks, you know, you should just save your dice. But at least I guess they're disordered, so there's something. And we kill both those Shadowhound troops, because as one would expect, they just can't handle being hit by Soul Reaver Cavalry. And even skeletons in the flank is a considerable amount of attacks. You know, it's 15 attacks and they have 30 hitting on 5s. Something's going to happen. And Wraiths are actually no slouch either, because they hit on 4s, crushing 1. So nothing wrong there. Very good. But we still have to feed that Terror in the corner. The Terror in the corner. And that's what's happening here. I do manage to do at least 1 damage, so my life leech kicks in, so the zombies will stick around for at least a turn more. But over here, it's now his turn, and so my zombies, as a consequence of them failing to do all that much damage to the Reapers, they themselves get flank charged. So we've got a flank from the Terror that was in the forest here has gone into the zombies, and we have a flank from the Fiends into these zombies. I don't really mind. I mean, put whatever you want on the flanks, because it's just really holding things up. What we do also have here is the 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍. It decided that it was worthwhile just getting the jump on these 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry, so it flew right over. Unfortunately, did land on the obstacle, so it is hindered going into my 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry. So I think that's okay. But I also have a flank here from the Shadowhounds. But when I was wondering which way to turn, I chose to face the 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍𝖍 because I didn't want to give 𝖓𝖓𝖍𝖍 20 attacks in the flank. I'd rather give that to the Shadowhounds, which I don't think will do that much. So that was the decision there, why I turned this way or that. And you can see his Reapers are now facing my Dragon and 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍. So over here, a little bit of combat going on. Will we see any damage? I'm not sure. Combat continues over here. And he actually manages to wipe out the zombies, so it's free. So I need to feed it some Revenant Cavalry quickly. So yeah, unfortunately, it's now going on to the main course. Over here, we've got 6 damage on the 𝖓𝖎𝖕 Cavalry, but they're fine. And then over here, the zombies actually survive. Well, one of them did. So the one getting flanked by the Terror, they're okay. 5 damage. Didn't seem to care. It was very poor rolling by my opponent, unfortunately. Whereas these zombies definitely surely died because Fiends are very good, especially in flanks. Turn 4. And so I countercharge here with these zombies, just trying to do a little bit more damage to the already damaged Reapers. So here's hoping. And that is now a 1. So obviously the Life Leech kicked in. The Scream Shards paying off. Over here, well, I decided I need to get rid of both of these, but the only thing I can see in terms of either the 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍𝖍 or the Shadowhounds, so I can see the Shadowhounds flank with my Wraiths, and the Whites then went into the front, which is more than enough. I probably didn't need both, but since it was there, I did it. Free reform, why not? And make sure it happens. While the 𝖓𝖎𝖕 Cavalry went back into the Terror, just with their crushing 1, but I think they'll be fine because the 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍𝖍 only has defense 4. Over here, I've gone to the front with both the Dragon and the 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍, hopefully able to take them out. But you know, when you have a low amount of attacks, anything less than about 15 attacks starts to get a bit chancy, even with melee 3. So we'll see. And yes, I've decided to go in. Well, I think I just put it there and let him charge me. So that's the situation here. Wait, no. Correction, I charged him. It's still my turn. I really got to put maybe delineations of which person's turn it is, but you know, it's hard enough to make sure you're always taking pictures of just the turn dice. So I do a little bit of damage, just popping on 3 wounds here, so that's alright. And I wavered them. Look at that, that's the 𝖓𝖎𝖕 token. So I wavered the Reapers, these zombies. Well, they'll probably still get killed by all this stuff, but by wavering them, that completely holds up the Fiends. The Fiends can't do anything because there's no way they can charge out, so they're just kind of stuck there. So that was an exceptional result. Over here, you can see, I think that dice means he's taken 7 wounds, so that's pretty good, but I think he's still there. I healed these guys up, and they did their Life Leech, so they're feeling mighty fine. No longer on 6, they're now on 1. So that's the good thing about vampire units, you know? I mean, what's not good about vampire units, apart from the fact they're not fearless? And yeah, these guys did short work with the Shadowhounds and have turned to face the rest of his army. And there's a Skeleton Spearman just jogging on. Right now, the Skeleton Spearmen simply just need to exist on his half of the battlefield because they're a precious amount of unit strength. Over here, thankfully, the Dragon and the 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍 managed to kill the Reapers because I think on the return, they probably wouldn't have survived so easily because Reapers are nasty. They could definitely kill a Dragon. And yeah, we do a little bit of damage here, putting it up, but yeah, I don't expect them to take it down. They're just going to now slowly struggle in the tentacles of this Terror and eventually get destroyed. Or in this case, not in the webbing of this Terror. And so in his turn, yes, he had to just shuffle these guys, the Fiends, sideways to get the angle so they can at least charge somewhere, but they will be hindered, unfortunately. Fortunately for me. Over here, combats continue and the zombies die. While I don't think the 𝖓𝖎𝖌𝖍𝖍 did all that much. He's at least he's not hindered anymore, but yeah, he's struggling a bit. Turn 5. Well, it's just coming in and trying to sweep down this last bit while keeping that, you know, Terror in the in the basement occupied. So I double charge this Terror, even though he's got a snare, with a nice hindered Dragon. So I don't know how helpful that is, as well as the Whites. So the Whites have gone in as well. Doesn't matter, off the hill. I don't even mention that. countercharging with the 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry, and also going in with the wraiths to try and just hold up these reavers for a moment. So reapers, because I don't want them to jump into my whites. They're too precious. So yeah, that's the situation there, I suppose. Cool action shot. I think, is that a good photo? I'm not sure. Maybe it's artistic. So yeah, we go in. Do we kill anything? It's taking some damage there. We're seeing lots of dice, but I'm not seeing much result. So, yeah, these guys are wavered once more, up to 9 damage thanks to the wraith, so they're being held up. But we don't kill the terror. Some damage there, but, you know, being hindered is awful. And, yeah, ensnare is also awful. So you put those two things together, pretty hard to get through. So on his turn, he manages to charge right in. We've got the hindered fiends into my 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry, so we'll see how they go. And the terror continues to try and munch on my revenant cavalry. And that is a wavering token. So even though it's a small amount of damage, I think he rolled like, yeah, 6 or something. So wavered. So that, you know, what items are you going to put on them? Are they going to put on the waiver mitigation, or are you going to put on the terrain mitigation? You can't have both. And then over here, well, it's now my turn. Is it my turn? Is that how this got here? Yeah. Well, I see I maybe put the turn 6 in the wrong spot, so I apologize. So this is probably turn 6, and I just didn't put the label in the right spot. But what I've done is I've charged with my dragon here into the flank of the Reapers, because he could see, and he wasn't attacked back. He was instead attacking my whites. The whites have just kind of continued their fight, and we'll see how they go if they can get through that ensnare. Maybe in the second round they can do so. And then over here I've flanked these the Fiends with Skeleton and the Lycanus, while the poor 𝖓𝖎𝖕 just try and figure out what they need to do in their lives. Action shot. And the Terror is free, but it's just going to be munching on my Revenant King, so just trying to hold it up so it doesn't get into flanks and cause major damage. So there's the far too late turn 6. I really should have checked exactly if that fit. But, you know, I'm just taking these pictures and trying to get this battle report out to you fast. So we managed to kill everything. So the dragon and the wraiths managed to take out the reapers. The whites took out the terror, but I did not kill the fiend, which is not surprising because, yeah, a Lycanus and in the flank is, you know, it's pretty good, but, you know, they have a high nerve, these guys. I did get them wavered, but not enough. So this is how it ends. We were all to see if there was turn 7, no turn 7, and this is the way it ends. He has his fiends and his terror, and I have my whites, my 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry, the wraith, the zombie, the vampire and dragon, Lycanus, and spearman, trusty spearman. And so that's a lot of unit strength on my side. So just taking a look at that. Pretty happy with that game though. Although, yes, I threw away the werewolves, so that's the main thing. I'm really chastising myself. And I even did throw away the Revenant Cavalry, one of the troops that was in front of my 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry, because I got an opportunity. Because sometimes I think about, like, oh, they got Thunderous too. I don't want to waste that. I want to get that, you know, that first hit in. But you forget it's on 8 attacks, hitting on 4s. So, like, it's not that great. Like, you could just roll 3 hits, 2 damage, woohoo, you did 2 damage, but you threw away very important chaff because they're really good, the defense 5-14. So really, that's what I should be doing instead of just being like an idiot and throwing them at whatever happens to get into range. But, you know, you've got to learn these lessons. So here's the score in the end. We have Adam here. He got 3 unit strength, so those fiends sticking around was good for him. I got 9. I think my 𝖓𝖎𝖕 cavalry weren't quite fully in the other half. And yeah, so then the attrition worked out, killed a lot of stuff, and it was an 18 for me and a 3 for him, so for blackjack scoring. So yeah, that's not a bad round, but the problem is now I'm going to start flying a bit higher. So the next opponent, that'll be fun, I'm sure. Yeah, it is fun, I know. I'm from the future, so I can tell you this. So yeah, it was a good opponent. Yeah, I always like playing Adam, but he just has a penchant to have lots of items in his list and making, just bulking up too much on items, when really if he scrapped a whole bunch of items, he could get a whole other unit in there. Just maybe, you know, some scarecrows, another Reaper regiment, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's just the nature of his lists that he likes to do. So, but otherwise, he's a great guy to play with, and it was a perfect game to start off the day. And, you know, Invade's always nice and easy on the brain as the caffeine slowly sinks into the grey matter. So, why am I doing video in just just one video per round? Well, it's actually because I found out looking at all the metrics of what YouTube has available, I could see that consistently if I did a tournament video where I put all the battle reports into one video for a tournament, they would perform substantially worse than if I actually had in the title and in the thumbnail, pictures of the armies. So I'm saying this versus that. Because I think when people are Googling various things or typing into YouTube, these things kind of pop up and generate people to see them, whereas most people aren't typing in tournament report. The keyword tournament is actually something you would never use. And so that's why I'm now going back to the single game battle reports from my tournaments. It also gives me more videos, so that definitely helps the algorithm more too. So that is why we're now going to just one game, even though I had a few. So when it comes to Convict, which is 6 games, or is it 7? It's a lot of games. Yeah, you'll see that I'll have plenty of content for a long, long, long time. So that's the first battle. What will be the second battle? Well, you'll find out soon when I record that one. So until then, make sure you always have your double shot latte and keep caffeinated. See ya!